Welcome back, everybody. We're going to take a little ride down to Del Mar from Carlsbad. And we're going to take the 101 because it's a nice day and ocean. I know it's been a minute since we had a vlog, a motorcycle vlog, so I figured let's do one. I got some time. And I haven't been able to put together like any specific videos. Waiting on a couple of things to fall into place before I can make my next major production. But it's coming, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate all the support in the meantime. So what should we talk about? I think I actually want to talk about something that I've been having a hard time coming to terms with since moving down here to Southern California. Something that I've even been a little hesitant to admit myself, and if only because I'm just unfamiliar with the type of riding that Southern California offers, specifically the desert out here in Southern California, and that is a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of fear. And you know, I grew up where I grew up in Utah. Yeah, we had a desert out there, but it was very different than the desert down here. There wasn't a lot of sand. There wasn't a lot of, you know, deep, long sections of wash. You know, there wasn't a lot of the desert washes that you get down here. And so it was, you could kind of just screw it on and pin it. And it was fairly easy riding where I grew up, out in the desert, even up in the mountains. Yeah, you get rocks and stuff, but you don't get, like I said, you don't get the big, long, deep, sandy washes, and you don't have 30 miles of sand to contend with. And so, since coming down here, I've been a little hesitant to really get the bike out on a proper adventure, because if I'm being completely honest, I don't have that much experience riding in deep, loose sand, that really silty, fine desert sand that you get out in the Mojave and, you know, Death Valley and that area. So I've been a little hesitant, and that's why you guys haven't seen a proper off-road adventure trip. So what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to just go do it. There's no real remedy for that kind of nervousness and anxiety, except for just going out and getting it done. And I feel like that's what I've actually got to do in order to sort of get over that fear. You know, I started out that same way when I did first start riding, you know, motorcycles in Utah, you know, 30 years ago. My first exposure to motorcycles was a dirt bike, and so I was nervous about riding the motorcycle, but because dirt is where I grew up riding, that's what I grew up riding, I didn't have that trepidation like I do now. And I think the biggest thing that I have to keep telling myself is I'm on a big dirt bike. Like, just ride the damn bike like a dirt bike, and it'll do dirt bike things. Yeah, it weighs 200 pounds more than my dirt bike did, but that doesn't mean it won't behave like a dirt bike. This KTM 890 Adventure R is essentially, you know, a 500 EXC with a bigger motor in it. Obviously, I'm simplifying the hell out of it, but at its core, the DNA, that's its DNA. You know, if you look back if you look back to the old, 950 rally that KTM used to win the Dakar rally, that DNA is still very much alive on the current 890 and even the 1290 platform. Just because they don't race the twin cylinders in the Dakar anymore, it doesn't mean that that DNA is gone. And you can ask anybody that rides these bikes aggressively off-road, and they're going to tell you it behaves like a big dirt bike. And so yeah, what I'm going to do is hopefully here in the next week, it's Tuesday, and I'm hoping to get out for at least a day ride of just all off-road. Obviously, I'm going to have to take some highway to get to the area I want to ride in, but that's the beauty of adventure bikes, right? Like, that's why we buy adventure bikes, is so that you can do that. And I feel like I haven't been honest with myself, and I haven't been true to the art of adventure riding, in that I've really just stuck to pavement since moving down here to Southern California. And and that's okay. Everybody operates within their own comfort zones. And if you buy an adventure bike because you want to be more comfortable on the road and have the capability of hitting a gravel road or a Forest Service road that takes you up to a campsite, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not a pro rider. I didn't grow up being a pro rider, and so it really, I need to go ahead and give myself permission to just ride the way I feel comfortable riding. And I do feel comfortable in hard packed dirt and gravel. I do feel comfortable on 2-track that is, I'm not going to say groomed, but that is solid and that's hard packed. I feel perfectly fine riding that stuff. It's just the deep, loose sand and the long stretches of silt beds and stuff like that quite frankly, they scare the hell out of me. But this weekend I'm gonna try and get out for a day. I'm gonna head east out towards probably out towards Anza Borrego or maybe Ocotillo Wells. I don't know if I'll get that far out, but that's the direction I'm gonna head, because there's some good dirt roads out that way, and just kind of get my feet wet with Southern California desert riding. And if I drop the bike, I drop the bike. It really is just that. It's in the simplest terms. If I drop the bike, I'll pick it up and keep going. And if it gets to be too much, then the nearest peel off that I can peel off and head back towards easier terrain, then that's what I'll do. I really want to get out and put a proper adventure trip together for you guys. Sorry for the noise from the train. I want to put a proper adventure trip together for you guys. In order for me to do that, I gotta get comfortable riding the different types of terrain that we have down here. So that's really it. That's all I'm really kind of getting after, I guess. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make is yeah, I feel like I've been doing myself and you guys a major disservice by not getting out for a real adventure trip, and we're gonna change that, and the only way for me to change that is for me to just go do it. So yeah, that's all I got in terms of that topic. This whole coastline is absolutely stunning. I am planning a ride later on this summer. I want to get up to the Redwoods and possibly up into Washington, and my goal is to spend as much time on the coast as possible. I've never been. I've been to Monterey, I've been to Santa Cruz, and I've been up through that area, but I've never been along the coast between LA and Monterey. So I've never been to Big Sur. Yeah, and I want to change that this year. It's probably going to be mostly a pavement ride, so I don't think that I'll take the 890. I might take the Africa Twin, which, by the way, that reminds me, let's have another discussion. Yamaha Tenere 700 World Raid is finally slated for the US market. So by the time that video comes out, when I'm actually doing that coastal trip, it may very well be on the World Raid. I've got to sell both of my current adventure bikes to make it happen. Not that the World Raid is like unreasonably expensive. It's only a couple grand more than the standard T7, but you will see a World Raid on this channel this year. That I can guarantee. So they're slated to start arriving in dealerships in May. I'm hoping to have mine June, July. I've already put my name on the list and put an order in for one. So we'll see when mine actually arrives. They can't actually place the orders with Yamaha, I think, until the 1st of April. So here in a few weeks. But my order is in the dealership system. So 2026 Yamaha Tenere 700 World Raid in black will be gracing all of you who follow the channel. And I've already got some big adventures planned for that bike. Which is a big reason why I get back to what I was saying earlier about getting familiar with the terrain down here, because it would be a shame to just relegate the World Raid to being a pavement princess. That's not okay. So we're gonna take it on some big adventures. I'd like to take it on a BDR. I don't know if that'll happen this year. It depends on when I get it. But I am going to be buying it from my preferred dealership up in northern Utah. So at the very least, you guys will get a build series. My plan is to purchase the bike in Utah and have some minor upgrades already lined up at a family member's house. So you guys will see a build video pretty much right from the beginning, and then the subsequent first ride will be an adventure ride from northern Utah all the way back down here to Southern California. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's got me super pumped and super motivated, and yeah, really looking forward to that. So I want to bring you guys along from the very beginning of that evolution. And, you know, not that I have anything against my 890. I really have enjoyed my time with the 890. But the reality of it is that my 890, the 890 was a backup. It was a plan. It was a plan B. I'm sure there's a joke there, but I'm not going to make it on this channel. But yeah, I mean, it was not my first choice. The Tenere 700 Standard was my first choice, and when I went to purchase my 890, they were pretty much like you couldn't get them, you couldn't find them. Everyone that bought them didn't want to sell them, and as soon as the dealerships would get them, they'd be gone. And so, you know, my next option, my next choice was the 890 Adventure R, and it just so happened to be that the 23 model came out. The new updated version of it came out right as I was looking for T7s, and I happened to find one. So that's how the 890 came to be, and why the 890 came to be. But it was not my first choice. And I've been waiting patiently, excruciatingly patiently waiting for the World Raid to hit the US market. So much so that I even went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out how I could acquire one in a European or Australian market and have it imported. And you can do it. It took a lot of research and a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails to find out the right process, but you can do it. But the hassle and the cost, I figured I could buy 2 standard T7s for what it would cost to purchase a World Raid and then have it legally imported and registered here in the United States. And I was like, yep, we're not doing that. I could buy a Ducati Desert X Rally for what that would cost. So I chose to just hold on. Jerk alert. So I chose to just hold out because I knew it would happen eventually. People have been squawking for the World Raid for years now, and it was only a matter of time that Yamaha finally listened. And now that the T7 has been updated, you know, they've got updated electronics and different mapping and whatnot. It's now compliant with our emissions and all that stuff. And I found out why we haven't gotten the World Raid until now. So Yamaha has factories in a few different countries. They have factories in Europe, they have factory in Japan, and obviously, you know, the World Raid launched in Europe, in the European countries, and Australia first, because it was already compliant with their market. It was not yet compliant with the Japanese market. And the United States does not import our Yamahas from the European factories. We import all of our Yamahas from the Japanese factories. And because it was not yet compliant in Japan, they weren't building it in Japan until now. So here we are. The World Raid is upon us. What a cool name. What a cool name for a model, by the way. World Raid. Yeah, anyway. I'm not going to harp on about that. I'm getting too excited. But here we are in Del Mar. This is Dog Beach. They call it Dog Beach because it's one of the few beaches you can bring your dog to and just turn them loose, let them play in the water and whatnot. Nice, really calm little inlet right there. Truth be told, I haven't been down here for quite a while. It's kind of nice, although I remember why I don't ride the motorcycle down here very often. It's just because of all the stop signs. There's like a stop sign every quarter mile. That's okay. It was worth the trip today. I'm sure you guys are getting bored with my typical loop that I make. Shit, I'm getting bored with it. So standing up here so you guys can get the full scope of how dramatic that is. At least I hope you can. Sorry for if there's any additional wind noise. Well, I think that's going to conclude our ride for today, everybody. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for all the support, the kind words. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or even a thumbs down if you hate the video, because it's all interaction, and YouTube likes the interaction. So you'll be helping me feed my family at some point. So yeah, give the thumbs up, a smash, subscribe to the channel, all the things that put me in your algorithm that get my ugly mug in front of you. And we'll see you next time. We'll see you next time. That's all you get.